We're live, and Chair Ogle, the Planning Commission is now live, and to you.
Okay, thank you. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:03 for the Planning Commission on December 17th. Effective March 27th, 2020, the Mendocino County Planning Commission meetings will be conducted virtually and not available for in-person public participation pursuant to State Executive Order Number N-29-20. Meetings are live streamed and are available for viewing on the Mendocino County YouTube page at https://www.youtube.com/Mendocino County Video. In order to minimize the risk of exposure during this time of emergency, the public may participate digitally in meetings by sending comments to pbscommissions@mendocino.org or orally via telecomment in lieu of personal attendance. All public comment will be made immediately available to the commissioners, staff, and the general public as they are received and processed by staff and can be viewed as attachments to this meeting at https://www.mendocinocounty.org/government/planning-building-services/meeting-agendas/planning-commission. To submit public comments via telecomment, a request must have been received by 7 a.m. this morning. The telecomment form may be found at https://www.mendocinocounty.org/government/planning-building-services/meeting-agendas. Okay, could we have a roll call vote? A roll call, please, Jim.
Commissioner Wiedemann.
Here.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Muted.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Holtkamp.
Here.
Commissioner Purnell.
Here.
Commissioner Nelson.
Here.
Chair Ogle.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have, sorry, I didn't get a virtual, another agenda, so I'm going to be working off of this one, but I think we need to ask if we have had, if it has been properly noticed. If the meeting has been properly noticed.
All matters have been legally noticed except for 6C on the agenda, which we are requesting a continuance.
Yeah. We have a director's report.
No director's report today. Thank you, Chair Ogle.
Are you sure you don't want to inform them as to?
What's that?
Never.
Any questions for the director, Planning Commission?
No, not yet.
We'll go on with the agenda. The Planning Commission welcomes participation in community meetings, commission meetings. This item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the commission that are not on the posted agenda and items which have not already been considered by the commission. No action will be taken. Item number 5, a consent calendar, of which we have none. We will go on to the regular calendar. Item 6A, case U under 2019-0016, which was continued from November 6th.
Madam Chair, Brent Schultz, could we'd like to do matters from the public. We skipped that, and we have a Supervisor Brown would like to speak and address the commission.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't realize there was something else. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. This is 1st District Supervisor Carrie Brown. I've come to your meeting today to thank all commissioners for their commitment to public service for the County of Mendocino. I especially want to recognize 1st District Commissioner Marilyn Ogle as my appointee for her 12 years of dedicated service. I've been very honored to have you there, Commissioner Ogle, and since this is your last meeting, I publicly wanted to express my gratitude for your dedication to the job. In addition, I want to thank county staff who worked with me through the years and thank Brett Schultz for his service as our planning director, wishing him the very best in the future. I will conclude my remarks. I know I only have a few minutes. So anyway, this COVID time is very difficult. I would like to have done this in person, but virtual is going to have to work. So everyone, take care, be safe, and have a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Supervisor Brown.
Thank you, Carrie. And I apologize. Are there any other matters from the public that I overlooked?
Do you have any other matters from the public?
Huh?
Any matters from the public?
I have no matters from the public for
Further consideration.
public expression, yes.
Okay, thank you. I see a raised hand from Commissioner Nelson.
I need to let the commission know that I have to recuse myself on 6A, 6B, C, and D. I have a conflict of interest with each of those. I don't know if it's possible, but if we could do 6E first, that would be convenient for me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nelson. That's fine with me. Are the other commissioners comfortable with taking item 6E as our first item on the regular calendar?
As long as they're a member of the public can, or, you know, their representatives are available now, I don't mind.
It's fine with me.
Fine with me.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead then and take item 6E on the agenda first. Apologize for that. That is case U-00009. The owner is Philip H. and Grace Lab Sharples. The applicant is John Merritt. And do we have a staff report, please?
You say 6E or D?
6E.
Chair Ogle, we are just needing a minute to give our planner some time to come down to this office for the presentation. The agenda reorder has just shuffled our planner deck. Just if you would just give us 1 minute, please.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just to confirm, and I believe you mentioned it this morning also, Jim, that 6A, or sorry, item 6B, case UM under 2020-0004 has been postponed to January 7th, 2021.
Yes.
Yes.
Chair Ogle, that is correct. The item 6C, which is UM 2020-0004, has been continued to January 7th, 2020.
Deputy County Counsel Matthew Kudrowski, because the notice was not done properly for that item, won't need a motion for continuance. It'll just come back at that meeting as a new item and is effectively withdrawn from this one.
Oh, Siobhan is on.
Thank you.
You don't have to. She's in.
Please let us
And
know.
with that, Chair Ogle, I do believe we are ready to commence the staff report. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning, planning commissioners and full commission. I am Siobhan Holmes, staff.
Wait a minute.
I am Siobhan Holmes, staff planner, planning building services, here today to present the use permit renewal application UR_2020-0009. This application seeks to renew a previously modified use permit CDU 13-2007 to continue operation of an existing telecommunications facility. There are no proposed changes to the existing 160-foot tall lattice tower, associated ground equipment, or requests for any physical modifications to the facility. The Mendocino County Planning Commission approved coastal development use permit number CDU 13-2007 on December 17, 2009. 3 separate appeals were submitted to the Coastal Commission that generally alleged that the county approval of the project was inconsistent with the policies and standards of the Certified Local Coastal Program with regard to the development within proximity of an environmentally sensitive habitat area. Ultimately, construction of the subject tower was approved by the Coastal Commission, which superseded the county's permit. This use permit renewal aligns the project as approved by the Coastal Commission with that of the county. The subject tower is located on a property designated in the Coastal Land Use Plan and zoned in the Coastal Zoning Ordinance as rural residential. Lying on the 4th Marine Terrace on the south edge of Big River, where several rare plant species occur, Mendocino cypress is the dominant vegetation type. This attribute was heavily discussed at the Coastal Commission hearing, where the final location of the tower was relocated to an adequate distance away from the sensitive habitat. Review of the proposed project under the California Environmental Quality Act determined that continued operation of an existing facility is categorically exempt pursuant to the California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Chapter 3, and Section 15301, Class 1B. As discussed in the staff report, staff finds that the application is consistent with use permit findings as required by Mendocino County Code Section 20.532.095. Furthermore, continued operation of the existing facility is consistent with the goals and policies of the Mendocino County General Plan. Staff recommends that by resolution, the Mendocino County Planning Commission grant use permit renewal UR_2020-009 for the project based on the facts and findings and subject to the conditions of approval. There are 2 errors I would like to point out in the staff report and discuss. The first, if you can navigate to the top of page 6, there is an inaccurate denotation of the height of the subject tower. It should read that the tower is 160 feet tall. I apologize for that mistake. Moving on, I spoke with the property owner after conducting a site inspection, and the property owner felt as though the Coastal Commission staff report inaccurately described the final location of the subject tower, which is what staff uses in order to determine how the actual tower was entitled. So if you could please, what I would like to do on page 4 of the staff report, at the top paragraph, what I would like to do is strike the northwestern property. The northwestern portion of the property transitions into an upland forest dominated by coast redwood, upslope from the pygmy forest habitat. Additional species present include western hemlock, bush pine, tan oak, Douglas fir, also another typo, and wax myrtle. We'll remove that from the staff report and instead describe the site. Coast redwood, western hemlock, bishop pine, tan oak, Douglas fir, and wax myrtle are found in the northwestern portion of the property. I think this is, after talking to the property owner, they felt as though that was more accurate. Primarily, they were concerned about people having a bad association with where the tower was and the fact that the tower has been there for quite some time. And I took that into consideration and wanted to share that with this commission. I am happy to take any other questions you may have.
And if I may interrupt very quickly, I'd just like to note that the chair would open the public hearing and announce the hearing procedures, and also for our commission services supervisor to note any correspondence or telephones received.
So I have received one telecomment from Anna Marie Weibel, and there is the agent online to speak also. Those are the only comments I have on this case.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for staff?
I have a question for Siobhan. Good morning. On page 2 of the resolution, item 3E, it's highlighted. Is that significant in any way?
It isn't, and I'm not exactly sure. You know, our network has been busy doing all kinds of things. So I think that this is more of something I maybe highlighted during a process to remind myself, but it has no probative bearing on our conversation. The highlight, not at all.
Thank you.
Sure. I noticed that too.
Deputy County Counsel Matthew Kudrowski, just to clarify, for the final version to be signed, the resolution will not have a highlighted paragraph.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. And I see Diana has a question. Commissioner Wiedemann, you need to unmute.
Thank you. I had a question, Siobhan, and thank you for your presentation. On the change of description of trees, or, you know, can you read that again, what the changes on page, top of page, I believe that was top of page 4?
It would be changed. We would take out the entire, basically where the upslope versus downslope is what the property owner had an issue with. And the Coastal Commission's documents determined upslope, but the property owner feels like it was really downslope. After I visited the site, I determined what's most appropriate is to literally say what is there, because the topographical shift, the slope it is not that much at all. And so for me, it was more semantic. So what it should read, Coast Redwood, Western Hemlock, Bishop Pine, Tan Oak, Douglas Fir, and Wax Myrtle are found in the northwestern portion of the property. This is a very interesting coastal property because the way the Isha is dispersed is in pockets. And so I think what the property owner really wanted to be sure was that the staff report communicated that was intentional, and that was a part of why they ended up inevitably moving the tower site in the first place. Is that clear? Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Siobhan. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, do we have the applicant or agent online?
You want John
Yeah.
Merritt?
Chair Ogle, we do. It's John Merritt. We are bringing him into the room right now.
Take Harold out.
Good morning, John Merritt for American Tower. Be pleased to answer any questions.
Good morning, John. Thank you.
No questions.
Chair, you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Merritt. I do not see any of the other commissioners with questions. So we'll go on with the public hearing, but if you're online, in the event there are questions in the future, that would be great. Thank you. Do we have any, welcome to public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public?
Yes, we do.
And to know when called to speak, please state your name for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person, and speakers are asked to please address their comments to the meeting chair, to refrain from using profanity or engaging in conversation with members of the audience as well. And with that, I believe Anne-Marie Weibel is on the line.
Thank
Good
you, Steph.
morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good morning. I actually attended the first hearing about this tower, and I am glad that the site was slightly changed. I'm getting a feedback. I'm hearing myself. Do you hear me twice?
Please mute other commissioners and ourselves.
No, you're coming through fairly clear. There's a little bit of garble, but we do hear you, Anne Marie.
Okay, can I start again?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good morning. Good morning. I actually attended the hearing of this tower, and I'm glad that the site was slightly changed. I realized there were new additions, new changes over time, and what is requested is basically that it continues on the way it was. What I am concerned about with all these towers, the one, the other that also will be discussed today, even though it seems there are no changes, what the changes that have happened gradually over time with adding microwave towers will facilitate with additional RRUs that 5G or 6G can be used down the road. And it is important that we realize that with that, we're dealing with something that has much greater health concerns and also much more effects. So what I would like to also point out to you that we have more and more satellites that will in the future replace these cell towers, and I'm not in favor of either of the two because I feel it's gonna eventually kill people, plants, and animals. But I would like to read to you, and I might not be able to finish, a petition from 5G International Legal Action Network in regards to these satellites. 5 Federal Communications Commission have granted a few privately held companies blanket license to deploy over 80,000 low orbit non-geostationary satellites and millions of Earth stations.
30 seconds.
FCC piecemeal actions are accelerating a space race that jeopardizes national and international security. The US government has already recognized some of the national and international security risks involved, but has no public comprehensive plan to mitigate them. I will read the rest of this later on in the following agenda items. And I also want to point out to you.
Staff, was that the end of the 3 minutes? So was
It
Anne
was.
Marie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Anne Marie, if you're still on, there will be other items coming up if perhaps you wanted to finish then. I'm not really sure. We did receive quite a bit of correspondence from Anne Marie Weibel. What she is reading, was that part of the communications that we received from staff?
No.
This, yes, Chair Ogle, this was actually identified as a general comment and was posted to our Planning Commission webpage under the agenda item itself.
And was that this morning or previous to this morning?
This morning.
That was this morning, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. I thought that probably was the case, and I wanted to let Anne Marie Weibel know that we did receive that this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other members of the public who wish to address this item?
We do not have any further telecomments.
Thank you. Then we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion from commission members? Okay. Seeing none, then we will go on. Do we have a motion to approve item 6E?
I make a motion to approve UR 2020-0009, Philip and Grace Sharples, resolution of the Planning Commission regarding regarding the renewal of a previously modified use permit CDU 2007 to continue operation of an existing telecommunication facility. There are no proposed changes to the existing 160-foot tall lattice tower. No associated ground equipment or requests for any physical modification to the facility. I propose the resolution presented to the Planning Commission of the County of Mendocino, State of California, granting renewal of a major use permit for an existing wireless communications facility, as noted.
I believe there were some changes from staff also. Did you want to include those, Diana, in your motion?
Yes, I would like to include the changes in the wording that was reiterated on page 4 of the staff report and page 2, I think it was page 2 of the height change or the clarification.
I believe that was page 6. Yes, that was on page 6.
Oh, okay, page 6. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Purnell. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Holtkamp?
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiedemann?
Yes.
And Commissioner Purnell?
Yes.
Chair Ogle?
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes.
Who's the second?
The second.
Purnell.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I believe now we'll go back to the regular calendar. Item 6A, U_2019-0016. The owner is Edward Wallow. The applicant is AT&T Mobility. The agent being Delta Groups Engineering, Frank Wallow. Do we have a staff report, please?
Before staff continues with the report, Madam Chair, Deputy County Counsel Matthew Godrowski, I think I saw Commissioner Nelson wave his hand. He had announced that he'd be recusing himself from the remainder of the calendar. So I believe staff will note that for these items that he has recused himself.
I have done that in the minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Jim. Now we'll go on with the regular calendar. Do we have a staff report, please?
We do, Chair Ogle. If you would just give us another minute, please. The planner, Keith Gronendijk, is entering the room momentarily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Gronendijk is arriving. And I will just note that if we're ever looking for recommendations related to these items, they can be found on the staff report, typically right above the signature of the planner themselves. So as you are looking to provide a recommendation or motion, that item and that language can be found on the last page of the staff report, just above the signature. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Chair Ogle, to open the public hearing and move forward with this item.
Before we open the public hearing, I wondered if there were any questions of staff. Jesse, I apologize. My understanding that you're sitting in for the planner. Excuse me? Is Keith coming in, or are you taking over for him, Jesse?
Oh, no, Keith has arrived.
Oh, okay. Do we have, I apologize, do we have a staff report from him? I'm a little confused here. Nothing new.
No worries. Jim, were there any telephone calls or correspondence received for this item?
Yes, there were. I have one telecomment. It will be provided later.
Yeah, we haven't actually opened the public hearing yet, Jesse. We're going to go on with the staff report. Was there any additions to the staff report or just what is in the package? I'm just a little confused here.
Well, I'll let Keith do his presentation here then.
Good morning, Commissioners. This request is for a use permit to construct a new 65-foot cellular antenna tower with a monopine design. 12 panel antennas will be placed at the 50-foot elevation. All antennas, mounting hardware, and other equipment are proposed to be painted green to match the faux foliage of the tree. A new 704 square foot lease area surrounded by a combination concrete block wall and wood fence will be constructed at the base of the tower. This enclosed area will serve as an accessory equipment location. A 30 kilowatt diesel generator with a 132 gallon diesel fuel belly tank will be installed as well. The general plan and zoning of the property is RL rangeland RL 160. And the wireless communication facility will be located midway between the north and south property lines on the west side of the approximately 88 acre property and roughly 75 feet from a private right-of-way to the north. A row of deciduous trees are both in front of the tower and also behind the site, which would offer seasonal camouflage opportunities, mainly from the highway. Approximately 34 acres of the property is developed with a vineyard, and there's a hospitality or wine tasting facility on the property. Immediately adjacent to the vineyard on the north side and between the vineyard and the tower is a small pond feature, which is most likely utilized for irrigation of the vineyard. And there's a residence located on the same parcel as the tower, approximately 345 feet to the northwest. This project has been found to be consistent with the Mendocino County General Plan, the zoning ordinance, and the wireless communication facilities guidelines. A negative declaration is recommended, and staff recommends to approve this project with the attached conditions of approval. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Keith. I believe we did receive notification from AT&T regarding a couple of paragraphs on page 2 of the staff report regarding the Connect America Fund, and that this was not a part of this application. So I think we need first some clarification there. That would be on the second paragraph. AT&T is participating in a federal government funded program called Connect America Fund, etc. And then the fourth paragraph also relating to the Connect America Fund. I believe those are supposed to be deleted, but perhaps you could advise us there.
I'm looking for the email. Right. Email from Donna Davis. I wanted to follow up with you regarding a voicemail message I left last Thursday regarding the staff report for this project. I noticed on page 2, there are several references to the CAF program. This project is a FirstNet priority site, but has not ever been part of the CAF program. It includes LTE and FirstNet coverage, but does not include fixed wireless broadband. I believe the CAF program may have been referenced in there as it was not part of our application. So we can delete that section that mentions the CAF program or the
Yes, Chair, that information provided by AT&T, and in that memorandum that Keith just recited to us, it does discuss, that CAF program is not related to this application in particular. It could be that this was an errant aspect of the application materials, but we do confirm that this is not an aspect of the application before you and could otherwise edit the staff report accordingly. I will note too that the applicant's agent is on the phone as well and would be available to address additional questions.
Thank you. I believe that would be deleting those two paragraphs on page 2, the second and the fourth paragraph, but we'll confirm that with the applicant as well if there are other items on the permit that needed to be, or the application that needed to be addressed. I did have a couple of other items actually on the resolution. I believe some corrections on that. So on the resolution, page 2.
Go.
Keith, are you there yet? Okay, in the first paragraph, looks like about the last sentence, a gate will be constructed the easement with Holbert Road. There should be a period before conditions. That's in paragraph B as in boy on page 2. Just clarifying that I'm being followed there. Jesse or Keith, do you have that?
Yeah.
We have that.
Okay, and then on item C, again, there should be a period after approval about halfway through the paragraph between approval, period, the proposed wireless communication.
Oh, okay.
And then down about the second to the last sentence, and adjacent parcels should just read parcel without the S.
An adjacent parcel. Yeah, we'll delete the S.
The last sentence, I think it's a little clearer to put parcels to the east include vacant and residential, comma, but this residential development is closer to Highway 128 and is also at a lower location. I think we should include the word is between and also.
Okay.
Noted.
And then the first paragraph was a bit redundant, but I kind of read it over and maybe legalese and maybe county council needed to address this, but maybe we need both of those in there. They just seemed a bit redundant. Maybe you could clarify that, or if not, county council could. We need both of those in there.
With regards to findings?
Yeah, they're entering the findings.
Yeah, it's that such use will not, then it goes into the health, safety, peace, morals, comfort, general welfare. And then we reiterate that again under the proposed wireless communication will not constitute a public nuisance. And then it goes on for those same things, the health, safety, morals, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't know if that was redundant or if both of those needed to be addressed separately. Just seemed kind of redundant to me, so.
Council Matthew Kudrowski. I mean, the italicized language is the actual finding that is required for the use permit. And the language following that is what staff has put into the resolution to show how that finding is being met. So could that language be tightened up a little bit? Perhaps, but generally speaking, what the non-italicized language is showing is the reasons why this is not going to constitute a public nuisance.
But to your point, Chair Ogle, you are correct. The general plan and zoning consistency findings, those are aspects that are typically included as a part of our staff reports. It's been a consistent process of ours, but I do admit that they are redundant when compared to the use permit findings that speak to the zoning and general plan principles that the use permit should uphold. So it is a bit redundant, but it's something that we've consistently done with regards to our applications for administrative permits and use permits since my time here.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Yeah, that explains it. I have nothing else at this time, but I think Madeline was on first base. Commissioner Holcamp?
My question is more of a general question to staff. This is a new tower and it mentions that it will be available for co-locations. Does the Planning Commission ever hear co-locations, or are those ministerial and or administrative permits and they just happen?
I can address this question through the chair. With regards to administrative permits for co-locations, typically, yes, those are processed through an administrative permit, which is reviewed by the zoning administrator. The zoning administrator can determine if that administrative permit it has cumulative effects that require the review of a higher body, such as the Planning Commission. Typically, however, the co-location requirements and the activities themselves are minor in nature and can otherwise be reviewed by the zoning administrator, typically administratively, but at times with a public hearing if required and determined necessary by the ZA, or excuse me, the zoning administrator. So that's typically the process.
And do we have some sort of sense of the number of co-locations that are happening every year? Does the committee ever find that out?
Yes, to the extent that we are aware and process those application requests, we do know where those co-locations are happening. We haven't been tracking the cumulative nature of co-locations throughout the county, but given the number of service providers who are capable of actually facilitating a co-location, there are only a handful of operators capable of doing so. But to answer your question, no, we do not cumulatively track or keep reference to the statistics associated with overall co-locations.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Wiedemann, did you have a question? Please
Mute.
unmute.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I did. Thank you. I had a couple questions, and to the agent, if you're still on the line. The question I have is, how many people in this area are going to be served? You know how we usually get sometimes a report of, oh, we see a dash of an area and where this cell tower, numbers that are going to be basically benefit from the cell tower. Do you have any information on, how many households or the range of the cell tower? I don't see that in our staff report.
And I don't think we've opened it up for the applicant yet. We were actually still on the questions for staff. If there are no other questions, then we can go on with the questions for the applicant.
I would note, Chair Ogle, that attachment M as well as attachment N, as in Nancy, those are both the existing and proposed coverage as provided by the applicant. With regards to the individual numbers of customers served, I would defer to the agent
Right.
for a response on that question.
And Chair Ogle, I'd like to continue on my line of thought. So the, attachment M doesn't quite clarify that for me. And even attachment L, it's a bit vague for my reading of it. And for staff, I had another question. I wanted to know the house that is located 345 feet, that's to the northwest of this proposed cell tower. Is that the property owner's house?
I would reference the adjacent parcels map, and I do not believe, however, that the residence is under the ownership of this legal parcel. I believe it is a separate individual and a separate owner. Commissioner Wiedemann.
It's a separate parcel?
That is correct.
The question is, based on the parcel map, which parcel this would be? Maybe that would help clarify that, Diana.
Well, I see it, but it's on the parcel map. It's a little. Let me let me just grab that again, because it was not quite so clear. It looked like it was on the larger parcel.
What's the question?
This is Keith Grunendijk, planner. I believe that house is on the same property as what the tower would be on.
Yeah, it is. That's how I read it. And therefore, my question is, so the owner of that parcel, is that's the Edward Wallow?
Correct.
So that Edward Wallow, they may rent the house, but they must own the house. Am I not correct?
Edward Wallow, yeah, is the property owner, so yeah, that would be part of the property.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure who lives there, but yeah.
That's okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, then we will go on and I'm sorry, Allison, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I did have a question for staff about whether or not this was referred to any local fire departments. It's unclear to me whether it's in any local fire department jurisdiction. I do see that it was referred out to CAL FIRE with no comments received. But in light of the top of the fence going around the generator and the cell tower, the top of that fence is going to be wooden. I'm thinking about, creating a fire danger, and just curious if we've received any comments about that from local fire agencies.
It was referred out to Anderson Valley Community Services District, and I don't believe I had any comments from them.
The response was not received.
I think it came in this morning.
Anderson Valley came in this morning.
And in this instance, Commissioner, it does appear that the Anderson Valley Fire Department offered a letter of support. They supported this installation because of the redundancy that it would create in communication. Adding a cell tower in Yorkville would undoubtedly assist. That was their response. There were no specific requirements or otherwise descriptions of the fence, however. Thank you, Jim. I didn't.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Did I overlook anybody? Okay, seeing none, then we will go ahead and hear from the applicant or agent. Please state your name for the record.
Okay, hello, good morning. Okay, there is back. James Feenan, is there a way to take me off of speaker from the Zoom call? Because I am on the phone. All right. Hello. Okay. How do we get myself to eliminate the backlogs? Okay. All right.
We love these virtual meetings.
So Frank, if you have YouTube on, you'll be creating a reverb. Please turn off YouTube, and then we have brought both of your Zoom accounts onto the meeting room, so you should be able to unmute yourself. If you do want to use your phone, it's *6 to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, much better.
Okay,
Thank you.
I just took myself off the phone, so I should be coming in loud and clear, right?
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Frank Shabaram, and yes, I am the I am the applicant on behalf of AT&T Mobility. And yes, I am also the agent for Delta Group's engineering. And so there were some questions that were asked, and I would like to be as specific as possible. Commissioner Purnell, you asked the question about why or in the design of the fencing, the 8-foot tall fencing around the lease area, is there the use of wood? Our 8-foot tall enclosure is going to be a combination of CMU block wall and fiber fence. Fiber fence is a fire retardant material that we're going to use in lieu of wood. In order for my application to have been deemed complete from planner Keith Gronendijk, I had to get CAL FIRE approval of this project. And part of the negotiation or part of the effort to get their approval was to convert what once was a wooden fence to a fiber fence. And so I'm happy to say that we will be using fiber fence in lieu of wood, and the fiber fence will also be the type that is textured to appear like, you know, grained wood fencing, okay? So that would be the response to the use of wood fencing. Commissioner Wiedemann, you had asked the question about, help me again understand the question that you had about customers served. You had asked, I believe, the question of within the propagation or coverage maps that were provided in exhibits or attachments M and N, you were asking how many customers would be served in the within that search ring and propagation map, or please ask again.
Yes, thank you very much, Frank. So I see on attachment N, it's the general area of, and I'm assuming it's the area in gold and maybe some blue. And I just wanted clarification. So the town of Yorkville will be covered?
Well, the community of Yorkville, and even more so Anderson Valley, will be covered.
So Anderson Valley, which goes, I'm going to say, kind of on this map, I'm going to call it kind of northwesterly up Highway 128. The end map doesn't go, it goes to, you know, it really shows up a little bit beyond the Fish Rock Road area. So I was just curious at, because this map, was it more being covered than the Yorkville area, and how much more towards Anderson Valley?
Yes, let me,
boom.
Pardon me. Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, let me elaborate, please. Attachment M, do you see in attachment M where it says project site?
Yes.
In the box, the rectangular box, that isn't that box, project site box, is pointing to the subject irregular shaped parcel, correct?
Correct.
All right. Attachment M represents the current status today, which means there's no service. And so there's no blue, yellow, or gold coloring whatsoever until you get to attachment N. And there you will see where blue, all right, so with this site on air, the color blue represents service for users who are outdoor service. That's why the blue color is more expansive than, say, the yellow, because the yellow color represents service that's going to be available for people in transit, all right, or let's say mobile. And then the orange or goldish color would be, let's see, that would be, as you can see, that would be indoors. People who are indoors in either in home or in commercial building or whatnot. So that's I hope a better clarification of attachments M and N. And so, all right. And so also, also you were asking about the actual coverage. Well, the actual coverage, if you look on page 2, as we were earlier today with reference to this site not being part of the Connect America Fund, if you go down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th and 5th paragraphs, the purpose of this new wireless communications facility is to offer commercial services to offer commercial services and to improve services along Highway 28 from Bonneville, Ukiah Cutoff Road,
okay,
south. Okay, that's a road that you're obviously quite familiar with, and you can see it on attachment N, well, and M. And then the service is supposed to extend down, out, south, southeast to Big Oak Drive.
Right.
And am I talking too loudly?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just following your, keeping up with you on that.
All right. So let's see, that was, so I hope that answers your questions or your question.
So may I just reiterate, since I asked the question on coverage on attachment N as in Nancy,
yes,
that the blue on that attachment map is outdoor coverage, and the yellow is cell phone coverage, and the orange is the indoor coverage, right? Is
right. Yellow represents in transit or mobile.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Notice how that yellow kind of runs somewhat along Highway 128.
For sure, right.
That's for in transit, hands-free coverage.
Right, and it appears on the existing map on M, attachment M. If you look, it looks like north of Fish Rock Road. I'm going to call it northwest of Fish Rock Road. There's existing coverage there.
Right, you're talking about
existing. That's existing. So your coverage is really, I mean, from the cell tower, just trying to get a handle on how, the need for giving service to as many people in a larger area as possible, because these things are complicated to get approved. So really on attachment N as in Nancy, the coverage is really Fish Rock Road heading towards south. I'm going to call it again, that would be southeast, because the existing coverage is already there on this map. Am I not correct?
Well, the existing coverage that you're referring to is to the northeast. And
that's right.
Okay, right. Okay. And so you're obviously looking at the blue, and that blue represents the outer limits of the next AT&T communications facility to the northwest, which is many miles away.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just like to make a comment here, Mr. Shabaram.
Yes,
thank you. Perhaps having a legend with this, because that doesn't really tell us anything without you verbally saying blue is this, yellow is this, gold is this. I think in the future, if you had a legend that told us what those colors designated, that might be helpful for the planning commissioners.
Will do, yes.
Any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners?
Yes, this is Randy Jacobson. I just have a question. It's more of a general question because I keep hearing people talking about 5G here in Mendocino County. And as an AT&T representative, I think we had someone from AT&T go over this 2 or 3 months ago. And in a nutshell, it was, we are not set up for 5G here in Mendocino County. But I continue to hear people talk about our 5G towers here. Do we have 5G here in Mendocino County?
If there are many, if there 5G, the deployment of 5G in an area is a coordinated effort to be done over multiple sites. And I don't believe 5G has been installed yet at existing AT&T sites. And I'll tell you, quite honestly, I'm making that assumption because this site is not being provisioned for 5G at its initial installation. And so, the whole purpose of having these new technologies is so that they coordinate with other sites that currently exist. Thus the term cellular. Multiple sites working together as a connected service cell or whatever. So this site will not be 5G upon installation. Have they installed 5G at other sites? They may have. On a widespread basis, I would probably say no. Will they in the future? Well, yes, because AT&T has paid many dollars in order to be able to have such the technology and license to offer 5G. And your question was, are they doing it in the county? Well, I would possibly at one site or another throughout the larger Mendocino County area.
Okay, it was just, I'm just confused because like I say, and I don't remember who it was, but that was one of the issues we had here. I believe it was the tower on Pine Mountain that we discussed. And from what I understood from the conversation we were having is that 5G was more prevalent in urban areas, and because of the lack of density here in Mendocino County, that it would not be feasible. But I just I know I'm putting you on the spot because this has nothing to do with this project, but it's just a question I keep hearing from people here in the county. So I appreciate any information you have.
Was the Pine Mountain or Pine Peak site, was that a new site or an existing site?
It was a new site.
Okay, and the whole purpose of 5G is to create the whole purpose. Well, I don't want to say 5G benefits by allowing faster and more volume of information to be dispersed from point A to point B. And so if they have current technologies that are handling the workload or the volume of calls that are being made, then that should suffice at this time until the volume increases. So I better not say anything more, okay? Because I am not an RF, I'm not a radio frequency engineer.
Okay, well, I appreciate your input. So if we, if there's, we have, I don't know, 2 or 3 more items here to discuss. And if there's someone else that can give us more clarity on the subject, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to take on what Commissioner Jacobson said. I distinctly remember that same thing, and I had said that to numerous people who discussed 5G with me. I understood, as Commissioner Jacobson did, that it was just for areas pretty much, what am I trying to say? Areas that had a lot of people, such as the Bay Area, places like that, that it would not be applicable to our because we don't have large people. So that's what I remember as well, Frank. So I think perhaps if we, in the future, if we could have those questions answered regarding 5G, and I understand, you're not the techno person for the 5G stuff, but I think it is a question we all kind of have because we would like to be able to respond to our constituents. So just something for the future. Thank you.
A very good point. I understand. And that's a very good point. And I'm sure that that'll be addressed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other? I'm sorry, go ahead. This project is the project that you see before you today is the net result of a lot of time, effort, design, in order to meet the Mendocino County Wireless Communications Facility Design Standards. And I tell you, a lot of folks were involved in this project. And in all sincerity, I have to bring attention to Keith Gronendijk and Julia Aker, and most recently, James Feenan, in helping me out in following those guidelines and getting this project before you today in these unusual times and in this unusual format. And so my thanks to the 3 of them for what they have done on this project.
All right.
Thank you, Frank. Diana, I see you have unmuted. Did you have some more comments or questions?
I just want to not lose. I think it's a really good track that, Frank, if you could help our planning department or give, somebody in your agency to do a report on 5G for Mendocino County, that would be fabulous. And thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Staff, do we have comments from the public to address?
We have one public comment. Anne-Marie Weibel.
Morning, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
I submitted 7 pages of information. I have no time in 3 minutes to go through that. What I mostly want to address is FirstNet. And I'm glad some of the commissioners had some questions in terms of administrative permit for co-location. I know we all are concerned about fires and want to have everything possible for first responders. But we're being sold, and it started with the Willits Tower, a new program which has is going to be for 25 years collaboration between AT&T and FirstNet. With every tower where you're going to hear co-location for first responders, you will most likely get FirstNet. As a county, we need to agree, even though the state accepted that, if we want FirstNet. And what I'm concerned about is it is a military application. It allows for 5G to be transmitted, connected to the Internet of Things, And look up what that means, Internet of Things, if you don't know. And it's the military's new deadly toy implemented under the disguise of necessary for emergency services. And we will be therefore willing to accept 24/7 surveillance, have our every move, included meta and granular data, tracked, harvested, and sold, be experimented on, and become actual targets of the latest high-powered, low-latency, weaponized communication system. And it would not be in accordance with the county's wireless guidelines, which mentions health, safety, comfort, and general welfare, and that shouldn't have a significant impact. It would have a significant impact. And as far as 5G, if it's not here today, it will be here tomorrow, and we cannot discriminate. So if we're adopting 4G LTE, which this tower is, and most of the new towers, all it needs is the radio, the microwave dish, plus some RRUs and an administrative permit, and the public cannot have input. So it seems that we need, as a Mendocino County, to deal with the Board of Supervisors before we can accept it. I have lots of other points. I'm concerned about the aesthetics. You can see it from the scenic highway, and also no biology analysis was done. High fire danger with these towers.
Time.
Okay, thank you, staff. Any questions for the public? Sorry, but there are only 3 minutes per comment, so that ended there. Do we have any other comments from the public, staff?
No, we did not. I did not receive any other ones.
Hearing, and is there any discussion between the commissioners? Okay, seeing none, then I believe we're looking for a motion. Do we have a motion to accept this item?
I make a motion to approve this item as of December 17th, 2020, U 2019-0016-AT&T Mobility, resolution of the Planning Commission, County of Mendocino, State of California, adopting a negative deck and granting a major use permit for a 65 tall wireless communication facility. And with the changes as written in the resolution, with the noted changes, the grammatic changes on page 2, on paragraph C, be included. I think that's.
Yeah, there was just one small item on paragraph B, which is adding a period, but it's.
Oh, on B, awesome. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I believe we also had in the staff report, was that page 2? Yes, eliminating AT&T recommended eliminating America Fund.
Say that again, Marilyn.
On the staff report page 2, we received the email from AT&T from Donna Davis to eliminate the items under the Connect America Fund on, I believe, paragraphs 2 and 4 on page 2. I think that needs to be part of your motion.
Staff has captured those items for both the staff report and resolution that require update and correction with, as noted by Commissioner Wiedemann and Chair Ogle.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Madeline. Then we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jacobson,
You want to again?
thank you. Commissioner Purnell,
Yes?
Commissioner Wiedemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Holtcamp,
Yes.
Chair Ogle.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you, Jim. It's 10:20. I think we'll take a 5-minute break to maybe 10:25 and then return. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Keith.
about what's going to happen on the interim here for the director position when I go. And I think it's going to be mid-January-ish if I guessed right.
Right.
Okay, can we take that back up under matters from staff? Will you still?
Sure,
agree with this, Imran?
I'll speak up then, sure. Hey, by the way, on that last one, I didn't hear, how many people will that cover? Did he say how many households?
He never really said, and and the map, which I'm going to call map N,
Map N, yeah.
Yeah, Marilyn, your point was right. There was no designation on what was the orange, what was the yellow, what was the blue, and it was a little unclear of where existing cell towers from Boonville reach and this, but he never talked about how many households, and it's not a really huge populated area.
Yeah.
But for servicing Highway 128, where there is a lot of rescues, right?
In there.
Coming down the Cloverdale grade, it's kind of important. I know from first responders, the whole 128 corridor is really important because there's so many accidents that happen.
Pause me. Excuse me, commissioners,
Oh, yeah.
we are live again, just for your information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then we'll go on with item 6B, case UR_2020-0003. The applicant is Theron Richard Peterson, and the agent is Tower Engineering Professionals. Do we have a staff report, please?
Yes, Mark Kleiser, Planner 2, planner for this project. As indicated, the request is for renewal and continued operation of an existing 150-foot tall wireless communication facility within a 10,000 square foot leased area, which is secured with a 6-foot high chain link fence. Improvements in the leased area include a 150-foot tower and a 210 square foot equipment shelter and equipment pad generator, and 2 500-gallon propane tanks. No modifications to the existing tower are proposed. However, as more than 180 days has passed since the governing use permit expired, Planning Commission approval is required for continued use. The project is located on 21-acre parcel, 2 miles west of Leggett Town Center and 2 miles west of Highway 1, and is accessed from Page and Gates Road. The tower is located approximately 3,900 feet northwest of the South Fork Eel River. The 21-acre parcel has a general plan and zoning designation of forest land, and outside of the leased area for the facility is used primarily for residential purposes. The continued use of the wireless facility will not interfere with the potential use of timber production and timber-related products associated with forest land zoning. And continued use of the facility conforms to both the general plan and zoning designation, which allows for wireless communication facilities. On October 29th, staff visited the site and found that the tower and facilities to be well maintained. However, as there are a number of driveways off Page and Gates Road and no addresses posted, staff inadvertently drove onto neighboring parcels. In order to avoid future disturbance to neighbors, for example, maintenance vehicles from entering neighboring parcels accidentally, condition number 11 requests signage at the access driveway. Adequate utilities, access road drainage, and other necessary facilities are provided. And given that the tower has been in operation in its current location since 1997 and no modifications are being proposed, staff finds the project will not constitute a nuisance to the area. The nearest adjacent dwelling staff is aware of is on the subject parcel and approximately 800 feet east of the project site. Staff evaluated the project for consistency with the county's wireless communication facilities guidelines and found that with the recommended conditions of approval is in conformance. Staff recommends approval of the project with conditions. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have any questions of staff?
Mark, I just had a general question for you. I noticed that the original neg deck is 23 years old, which is really kind of a fascinating study in how far the CEQA initial study checklist has come in that time. And I did see the addendum to that. I'm just curious about whether or not the addendum seeks to bridge the gap between the old checklist and those items that are found in the new checklist, or if you just simply have to note that, you know, no additional impacts are.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly why I chose to do the addendums to research the CEQA checklist today's compared to the 1997 version, just to make sure that it is still a negative declaration, and it did check out.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, I had a question. The vehicle miles traveled, I wasn't real clear as to how we came to the conclusion that this was a reduction in, what is it, 14.3% reduction in total VMT. I mean, I don't think it's probably an increase, but how did they come up? How did we decide that there was a reduction in total VMT for this project?
The Mendocino County of Governments, Mark Kleiser, sorry, Planner 2. Mendocino County of Governments has a screening tool by which we have screened this project. And we put in the parcel location, and we put the 14.3% analysis, which represents the threshold required by the state in order to meet 2050 greenhouse gas reduction goals. And this project checked and came in below that, actually.
And Jesse Davis, Senior Planner, and I may add that the VMT thresholds analysis tool is really looking at the surrounding land uses and the vehicle mile activity that's engendered by development adjacent and within that legal parcel. And what Mark did was he ran this property through our threshold screening tool to identify if this is an area in which the development around and under our general plan would engender an increase in greenhouse gas emissions. Effectively, what Mark understood through using this tool is that this area is a low producing VMT area in general, meaning that they don't engender a lot of traffic or new development moving forward. And it can be assumed that by continuing forward, the project will not have an additional effect on increasing greenhouse gas emissions. So it's the use of the thresholds tool from the Mendocino Council of Governments to help us understand when a project, or more importantly, those properties around a project site would engender additional or induced vehicle miles traveled. In this case, Mark was able to determine that because there is no modification, because of the location of this project, that it does not itself engender an increase in VMT. And that was just another part of the analysis he conducted to ensure that he was reviewing all of the regulatory updates since 1997.
Okay. It's more than showing a reduction of 14.3%. It was more of the idea that we weren't going to see an increase as a result of this project. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, I'd like to ask a clarifying question. I think you answered it, but I want to make sure I understood it correctly. So I'm not used to seeing the VMT in the findings. But again, is that included in this instance because the original CEQA was so old?
Mark Kleiser, I included that just to back up the finding that VMT threshold is lower than the 14.3%. And you're referring to the attachment that shows the reading. Is that correct?
I was just referring to the findings, and VMT is finding number 5. And I just don't recall seeing this VMT analysis in other findings. So I was just curious why it was included in this one.
It's one of the key issues for this project, and it is a new CEQA requirement.
And if I may, Jesse Davis, Senior Planner, there are no findings that need to be made. It's included adjacent to the findings in this document, but it's under the section of key issues. And that's simply because Mark wanted to ensure that the review was comprehensive in the regulatory updates that have occurred. So it's not a finding in this instance, but more of a key issue to be discussed as part of the staff report.
Great, thank you for that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, then we will open the public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public?
You want to hear from the agent?
Do you want to hear from the agent?
Mary.
Yes, I apologize. Yes, I overlooked my list here. Can we hear from the agent or the applicant, please?
Yes, I believe that Mary McGarity is the agent for this project, and I believe that she is available. We'll be bringing her into the room here shortly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Did you have any questions?
Are there any questions for the applicant? I don't see any questions from the commission at this time, but if you could stay online in case something comes up, that would be great. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So now we'll open the public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public?
There's one comment from Anne Marie Weibel.
And is Anne Marie Weibel also going to be online to speak on this subject?
We believe so. We are bringing her into the room now.
And she is in.
Anne Marie, when you are able.
Hello. As this project was first adopted 23 years ago, it says that no biological assessment was made. There are some special status species and they have not been mapped. There is a wetland right there. There's aesthetics issue. I guess the tower is visible. There was a variance. It was only going to be 60 foot for that area and was built to be 150 feet tall. There's a huge fire danger right there. And it says in the report that there does not comply with the transportation plan of the area and does not comply with the land use plans of the area, unless I wrote that down wrong. Also, in terms of the wetlands, it would be good to know whether this area is flat or not, and so if it would affect the wetlands. I have a question about the ice bridges, what they're about, and I just want to add for the rest of my time the fact that I sent a letter to the commissioners on the 4th of November, and I asked to get a response back. I never did, and my comment had mostly to do with the fact that having these virtual meetings is impossible for many of us. And also, especially for the Native Americans in the previous approved project now in Yorkville, the Native Americans, many tribes are closed down. They never even received that invitation. And so how can they comment if they don't receive the invitation? And this project had 4 community meetings about the Native American issues, about archaeology and all that. So what I'm asking, I submitted that, is that we declare an emergency moratorium on all new wireless infrastructure and infrastructure permits until the COVID-19 emergency is over. And
yes.
keep that document in your records. Am I out of minutes?
20 seconds.
So, and also when you have some workshop about 5G, please invite both parties. Don't invite just the industry, because there's a Native American tower that will be installed momentarily in Covelo. There's talk about another one in Willits. We need a map that shows not only the co-location, but a map of all these towers. In Yorkville, there is a tower 1.6 miles away. Why was that not on the map? So we're not provided the information that we need to make an informed.
And Chair, we return to you.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if you could address some of the questions that Emery Weibel had.
Yes, Mark Kleiser. Regarding the sensitive species, yes, sensitive species were identified in the project. Because of confidentiality, the map was not included in the attachments. The project, however, was referred to CDFW and no comments were received. And regarding the archaeological question, the project was also referred to Cloverdale Rancheria, Redwood Valley Rancheria, and the Sherwood Valley Band of Pomo Indians, and no comments were received there.
It's existing.
So, guys, yes, and the project is existing.
No modifications.
With no modifications.
Thank you, Mark. I think that addresses most of the items. Particularly, I was pleased to hear that the specific Native American reservations or rancheria were also advised of this. So in addition to going online and watching the agendas for each one of our meetings, obviously the staff is addressing the Native American community in these areas as well. So I appreciate that very much. Any other questions for the applicant or staff from the commissioners? Okay, I don't see any, so we will go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion with commission members? Seeing none, then I believe we're looking for a motion.
Given that we're lacking a commissioner for District 4, I'd be happy to make the motion on this one. I move that by resolution, we adopt an addendum to the previously adopted negative declaration and grant use permit renewal UR 2020-0003 for the project based on the facts and findings and subject to the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Do we have a Thank you, Randy. Then we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Jacobson? Commissioner Jacobson?
Yes.
Commissioner Purnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiedemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Holtkamp?
Yes.
Chair Ogle?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Again, item 6C, case UM_2020-0004 has been rescheduled. I'm not sure the correct wording on that, County Council, for January 7th. Did I say that correctly?
Deputy County Council Matthew Godrowski, that's pretty close. The item is effectively withdrawn from this meeting because of for lack of proper notice. It is being noticed for that next meeting or the meeting in January as stated.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go on to item 6D, case UR_2020-0005. The owner, Patricia Lynn Guntley, and the applicant is U.S. Taylor, with the agent being Tower Engineering and Marion Quality again. We have a staff report, please.
We do, Chair. If you would just give us one moment while the staff planner, Siobhan Holmes, enters the meeting room to present this item before the commission. 1 minute, please.
Is Shamari not the
Mary McGarity is the agent.
For this one also?
She is.
Okay. This is 5, right?
Yep. This is 6D, the Guntley case. UR 2020-0005. And Chair, I present Siobhan Holmes for the staff report.
Thank you.
Good morning, Planning Commissioners. I'm Siobhan Holmes, Staff Planner from Planning and Building Services, here to present use permit renewal application UR 2020-0005. This application seeks to renew a previously modified use permit UM 27-2003/2009 to continue operation of an existing telecommunications facility. There are no proposed changes to the existing 100-foot tall lattice tower, associated ground equipment, or requests for any physical modifications to the facility. The subject tower is located approximately 9.5 miles northeast of Ukiah at 2,400 feet on Guntley Ranch, in a rather remote area of the county. T-Mobile and AT&T co-locate on the tower, owned and operated by US Cellular. Access to the tower is provided by a private road that connects from Eastside Potter Valley Road. The facility is secured by a 6-foot tall chain link perimeter fence and will remain unmanned and operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This parcel is classified as moderate fire hazard, and the existing facility is within an area designated as very high fire hazard. Review of the proposed project under the California Environmental Quality Act determined that the continued operation of the facility is categorically exempt pursuant to California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Chapter 3, Section 15301, Class 1B. As discussed in the staff report, staff finds that the application is consistent with the use permit findings as required by Mendocino County Code, Section 20.196.020, and the Mendocino County Wireless Communication Guidelines. Staff recommends that by resolution, the Mendocino County Planning Commission grant use permit renewal UR_2020-0005 for the project based on the facts and findings and subject to the conditions of approval. I'm happy to take any questions you may have. I believe Mary is still on the line.
I also have Shamroy.
Thank you, Siobhan. Do we have any questions for staff?
I didn't hear either of what you said. Should I add Mary?
Okay, I don't see any questions for staff, so can we hear from the applicant or agent?
Chair, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Allison.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Siobhan. I see that we've got VMT mentioned here again, and that in this case, when it got put through the MCOG model, it failed. I am personally not concerned about a few maintenance vehicles that might be going out there, but I would love to have you take a few more minutes to explain what you know about this model and why this would have failed with such a dramatic 45.8, just really for our own edification about what this model is and how you see the significance of it.
Classifications to inform.
This is Siobhan Holmes, project planner. Essentially, the way the model is applied is that it looks at the general plan classification, which, as you know, sometimes is inconsistent with the way in which the zoning designation is applied. We are talking about a very large, undeveloped remote parcel. So essentially, the math is slightly out of context because of the way in which it's applied to where we're talking about.
Right. And so Jesse Davis, senior planner. So even in the instance of this, in this location, a few trips or any project outside of agricultural activities is going to engender a sort of a positive response. Now, in this instance, because the tower is existing, we can very clearly determine the number of trips that will be facilitated and understand how few cars are actually going to be, visiting this site. For other types of projects, however, so for example, say a new tower or a subdivision or a more intensive use of the land, this would be something that may, trigger additional review in which a more specific analysis of the vehicle miles that are going to be induced or facilitated as a result of this project would be better understood. In this instance, staff reviewed VMT just because we're trying to determine a consistent analysis to inform all of our projects. Again, our understanding is that because this is an existing facility in which the trips have been documented and are well understood, we are confident that the project will not otherwise create a significant impact. And this is an opportunity, you're seeing VMT more and more, in part because we want staff to begin to apply this more consistently across all the projects that are now subject to Senate Bill 743. And so that's why you're seeing our staff planners run projects more and more through the VMT thresholds analysis tool, and why we're thinking more about how projects engender or induce travel and how they fit within this new regulatory framework. So you're seeing more and more of these analyses being conducted.
I just also wanted to add, when we consider the context of our county in Mendocino, think about the frequency in which the way parcels are accessed, especially adjacent parcels. So the subject parcel is accessed through a private ranch road, but it has to traverse quite a distance. So right off the bat, because of the remoteness of where the facility is, the VMT will look a certain way. Staff finds that it is important to analyze, but we do have to put it into the context of Mendocino County when we think of further future development. So I just wanted to clarify that.
And I apologize, I just want to make one final point here, which is that the threshold tool is a very rough analysis. It is not informing a specific impact. It is simply saying that projects of a certain type, or in which travel can be understood to be at a certain low level, are otherwise screened out of requiring additional analysis in the future. And so again, we are just utilizing this tool and featuring it in our staff reports to become more consistent in our application and understanding of this tool. And I hope that this overview helps.
It does. Thank you.
It does, but one has to wonder if the state model is really adapting to low population, low density rural areas. And I hope you're feeding that back to the state, because I can see this winding up being a burden, because one car going up the driveway probably is the 45%.
And again, it's important to understand that there are thresholds in which certain projects are screened out of requiring vehicle mile travel analysis. And again, this was well understood in terms of the rural detriment that our county in particular is facing, given our high VMT for most rural activities. Now, all that being said, it's important to recognize that the model is based off the general plan. And so the general plan designations informing future development to understand, again, this is the baseline. And if we want to basically ensure that we'll be below the baseline, projects must be at least 14% to meet the state's requirements. So this is just another topic in which the evolving state regulatory environment is quickly moving, and staff, again, recognizes this. I think it would be a good one to come back and, further discuss outside of the context of a specific application.
Okay, thank you, Steph. I just wanted to make one comment on the location map, attachment A. It does show East Side Potter Valley Road and Highway 20. And I don't know if there's anyone to include. I realize on attachment B, you have the driveways or unnamed roads, but it's not really clear from East Side Potter Valley Road, unless I'm overlooking it, that there is the roadway that, excuse me, that goes off of the road, and where that actually comes in. And perhaps that little white line is part of it. I'm not really sure.
This is Siobhan Holmes. Part of, I think, is the scale of the map that we're looking at, because the way the ranch is configured, calling it a private drive is rather quaint because of the length, right? It does start at Eastside Powder Valley Road, which is going to be much farther west. So essentially the scale, what I hear is that perhaps in a situation like this, when we are talking about such a remote parcel that's landlocked by other parcels, an additional map that kind of highlights how you get there would have been helpful, rather than zeroing in on the parcel itself, is what it sounds like. because there is quite a distance between where you access that private road and when you get to the site itself. I would also add the property owner is very, very involved in any and all modifications or activities that happen at the facility, and they escort and are a part of any sort of maintenance work that happens on the site. They tend to be there to make sure that whoever is conducting the maintenance knows exactly how to get to the tower and does not deviate from that pathway. The agent could speak more about that if you need be, but I just wanted to tell the commission, the property owner is very cognizant of the distance between the location of the actual tower and how you access it. And that's why they play such a significant role in making sure that people get there when they need to access the tower. So, and I agree with you. I think moving forward, especially in my case, I would work with county cartography to look at some of these maps so that we can really tell the full story, because I could see in looking at this one, it may be a little too honed in, and a little bit farther out would let you know that you can, it is easily accessible. So I totally understand that.
Okay, thank you very much, Siobhan. I appreciate you acknowledging what I was trying to address. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, then I believe we have the applicant on the line. Is that correct? Oh, yeah, AT&T, Mary McGarity.
Yes, I'm with Tower Engineering Professionals. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, do you have any questions at all? Is there anything? We're not proposing any type of upgrade or anything right now, just the new use renewal of the use permit.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, I don't see any, but if you could stay on the line, that would be great. Thank you, Mary McGarity. Do we have any public comments? We'll open the public hearing now. Do we have any comments from the public?
Yeah, we have one public comment from Anne Marie Weibel.
She's coming online now.
Oh, since this permit was first asked for in '03, there was a variance. It was only allowed 50 foot, but it went 150 feet. And since then, there was a microwave dish added, and also in 2013, they were talking about 2 future microwave dishes. I don't know if they've been added now, but also in 2014 and 2017, a whole bunch of new items were added, which was addressing that 2 future microwave and other things. So basically, this is another tower that's 5G or 6G ready. And that's all for that particular tower. But what I want to point out to you is that in my letter to ask for on-site public hearings, I also pointed out that we don't have a representative for the Forest District, and Scott Perkins hasn't been with the commission since July. And with the Pine Mountain project, it ended up only 4 commissioners, and they all had to vote the same way. And then also the last meeting on November 19th was postponed because you didn't have a quorum. So this is just something that needs to happen. And the other thing I want to point out is no insurance company is willing to cover damage, illness caused by electromagnetic radiation. The property value would be reduced by 15 to 20%. That's and also we need to think of creating white zones and EMF-free sanctuaries, free from electromagnetic fields. 10 to 15% of the people in the US are suffering from microwave sickness, and this number is only increasing. And the current numbers are really something to consider, that half of the people in the US are suffering from chronic illness, and half of the people in the US are suffering from cancer. The big reasons for cancer, diabetes, heart issues, among a million other problems, is because of the electromagnetic field, which we have with a whole bunch of other gadgets. So please also listen to that email from Ms. Christy Lenz Taylor that was added to the Wallow property.
Okay, thank you, Anne Marie. Any other? Brent online?
Hi, Chair Ogle, Brent Schultz, Planning Director. I want to let the Planning Commission know that I will be, I'm getting background. I don't know what's happening. I will be departing the county probably in the next 4 to 8 weeks. I've let Carmel know that I'm moving to Tennessee. My wife and I have made it's really a personal decision about our family and being closer to help our daughter there. It's bittersweet. We love our house in Ukiah, and our son is here and granddaughter, so it's kind of hard, but we feel it's the best thing to do right now. I really appreciate the board, the CEO, the Planning Commission, all the commissions we've dealt with, making me feel at home here. I will tell you, our staff, your staff that work on these cases, they work so hard to reach out to all these different agencies and the tribes, everybody. It's amazing to me. I thought a rural county would be, when I got here, I thought it'd be easier than an urban area. This is much harder planning here. Your planners work a lot harder than I ever saw in Anaheim or Ontario. I've never seen them so much work that has to go into a staff report to get it ready for you. And they have worked hard through this pandemic. They never gave up. Yeah, we had our bumps as the pandemic hit us, and how to do the counter and how to work through all that and get electronic submittals, and things didn't go great, and we fixed them. And Adrian, our Mike Oliphant, working in building, they've just been great. Julia, and also taking on cannabis. I tell you, that was a lot of work for everyone in the department to figure out some solutions and try to get some recommendations onto the board. And that will continue. And I know the board will deal with that and come up with some solutions to help people get their annual licenses. But that's kind of, so that's kind of about me right now. And I don't know, I really appreciate all you've done for me. My wife too.
Thank you, Brent. So will you be retiring, or are you taking on another position over there, or what's
right
your
now
status on that?
The plan is for me to be a full-time grandpa, talking to my granddaughters and being with them, taking them to soccer, ballet, school, probably a lot of babysitting initially. So, but I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot happening in Nashville right now. I don't know. I don't want to say I worked a long time, but I did. Before coming here, I did work on a lot of development projects and with lots of architects and other folks. And I know that development process well. And, but that's another state, and I don't know I don't think they have CEQA. So, but I don't know what they have. I do know they're going crazy with construction. I think last time I was there, I counted 12 cranes. It's their downtown is exploding. But the real reason of going is really personal for Tracy and I. It's just to be with our daughter and granddaughters and son-in-law there. Help them out.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brendan. I've only been to Nashville once, and I was there with my daughter, and she took me to, what's it called? Something Row or something, where all the bars and stuff are. I really enjoyed Nashville. Of course, I was there in the early fall when the weather was good, before the winters and before the hot summers and the humidity and all that. But best of luck to you. Thank you for all you've done. And what an exciting move all the way across the country. I admire you for doing it. And again, best of luck to you.
Thank you. We'll be coming back. My son says we can come back quarterly to see them. So we can, because he's got other visitors up here.
He says that now, but if you come every 3 months, that may change. And you may not want to make that flight every 3 months, but good for you, Diana.
Yeah. Hi,
Yes.
Diana.
Thank you. And can you, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking before you leave and be meeting again. Who is going to be the interim? Have they decided the board?
Nash, Carmel has said Nash will be the interim. He will come in. He's here. He's working on a lot of different things for us right now, the safety element. And so he'll, as you know, he knows all about the operation here, works really great with all the planners and building and code. And so, and we've already been talking about status of the 30 projects on the wall behind me, which the staff, by the way, is going through and getting them, they're knocking them out and getting them done. But yeah, it'll be Nash.
Well, best of luck to you, Brent.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah.
Happy trails.
Thank you, Madeline. And by the way, if I hear you came to Nashville and you didn't call us, I'm going to leave my number. I'm going to be mad if I hear you came to Nashville and you didn't stay with us. We got an extra room, so all of you. I'll take you down to Broadway, Maryland, and we'll go to my favorite honky tonk there. I'll get you a beer and a hot dog, and we'll watch some good country music.
Brent, go to Martin's for barbecue. It's the best.
Yeah, my son-in-law took me over there. It was like packed. I mean, it's all takeout right now, but it's yeah.
Oh, you'll like it.
Thanks.
Right.
Honky Tonk Row, I think that's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Honky Tonk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, look out for me, because my husband hasn't been there yet. I was just there with my daughter. So that's definitely on our to-do list. So if you'll be keeping your cell phone, I don't know that we have it, but you have to provide it.
I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you.
Best of luck and congratulations, Brent.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other matters from staff?
No.
Okay, seeing none, matters of commission. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, I believe this is my last meeting as well. It's been a great 12 years.
Oh
And
my
I've
gosh.
really enjoyed working with everyone. I would like to leave commissioners with the notion of, I've always wanted a map of every tower in every coverage area. Never managed to get that, but hope springs eternal. And also water in our county, which we kind of decided how that was going in the 70s, and now we're in a major drought. So that's another area that I hope everybody will pay really good attention to in the coming years. But it has been a great pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you, Madeline. Diana, yes.
Yes, I just want to honor all three of you, Brent, Madeline, Marilyn, and especially the two commissioners for serving so long. I think planning commissions sometimes are the unsung hero because they get the first wave before it goes to the Board of Supes. And I just want to wish you well, and I hope the remaining commissioners, we carry on in good stead in your footsteps. So go well, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Diana. Yes, actually, Madeline and I came on the Planning Commission together 12 years ago, and I've really enjoyed it. I have learned a lot. I think it takes at least 4 years to have an idea of what you're doing. So I think serving at least a couple of terms, if you're appointed by the supervisor, is a good idea. I too have really appreciated and enjoyed working with Planning and Building Services. They've been a tremendous help. And just opened my eyes and been able to answer a lot of questions. And I know you'll be happy to get rid of me, who was always looking out for periods and commas and capitals and all the little mundane things that go with it for whatever reason. And I want to let County Council know how much I've appreciated. A lot of times County Council, particularly Matthew Kurdowski, works behind the scenes, and he has contacted me numerous times about, hey, this is the legalities of it, and this is what you need, or he's stopped our commission at something that maybe we've been going too far on. So I also want to address County Council, and again, best of luck to Brent Schultz in his new endeavors in Tennessee. Exciting. So thank you all very much, and good luck. What does that leave? Allison, Diana, Randy, Greg, there's 4 of you, and hopefully District 4 will be appointed soon. It'll be a challenge for such a small number on the commission, but I'm sure that District 1 and 2 already have people in mind to take over our position, Madeline and my position anyway. So good luck to everyone. Anything else from the commission?
I'd like to
believe our next
sense.
Go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, and just thank both Madeline and Marilyn for your service. And I really feel like you two, in a way, have mentored me. You may not have known it, but you just set such a wonderful tone, ask such thoughtful questions, and conduct yourselves in such a professional and respectful manner. And so I think you really leave an incredible legacy, and it's been a real honor to serve with you both. I'm excited for you that you get to retire and move on, and I'm sad for the rest of us that we won't have you here. So thank you for all that you've given, and the Planning Commission. It's not a lot of fame or fortune, but it's very important. So thank you both.
Thank you, Allison, very much. Anything else under matters from commission? Okay.
Oh, I had one thing. The maps, the cell tower maps. That would be great to update them.
Never gonna happen as far as I can tell, but we can always try.
We got something from Russell at one point. We did get a general map.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes.
Yes,
I will note that we do have a map online. It's available on the county website. It doesn't specify visually where those towers are, but each region has been broken up in our county, and a list of the addresses and locations are provided. This was done with the hope that we would be able to better facilitate questions about specific towers as they relate to the various regions, as well as to better break up the workload that exists for all of our planning staff, having more connect and direct representatives to each area of the county. There is also a wireless communication facilities map in which the locations are identified. Russ Ford can provide that to you. I'll be sure he can follow up here. We don't have the coverage information, as that is much more difficult to pin down and then associate with each individual tower, but those locations are otherwise mapped. And I'd be happy to follow up and provide that to you and include the link right after this meeting.
Thank you very much, Jesse. I appreciate hearing that as well. And Mal and I actually worked on the wireless communication guidelines originally. So it may be time to have an update, but neither Madeline nor I will be available, but I mean, we'll be on the commission.
So good luck to you.
I did have another question for staff, and it's about our first meeting in January. Given that we will be down 3 commissioners and I am not able to attend the January 7th meeting, will we have appointments by January 7th, or do we know how that's going to go?
If I may, through the chair, I can respond to that. With regards to the future appointments, the executive office is primarily tasked with identifying and then facilitating those commission appointments. We're going to reach out and find out where they are with the applications for the 1st and 2nd and 4th districts and move forward from there. Moving forward, it's not clear exactly how we'll conduct that January 7th meeting, but we will, through our staff liaison, respond to all the remaining commissioners with the next steps here. So we will figure it out.
Bearing in mind that Allison is the vice chair until the organizational meeting and she's not going to attend, so.
Yes, we are well aware of again, part of this is that we have to work through the executive office in order to ensure that the appointments are submitted in the appropriate manner through the commission's page, and then the board has the opportunity to discuss. So we're going to work closely with our liaisons and our colleagues in the executive office, and with the recognition that this commission is critical to achieving the goals and priorities of the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Any other matters in commission?
Nope.
Seeing none? Yes. We'll go to item number 9, approval of minutes, of which there are none. So at this point, it looks like I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Madeline. Thank you, Diane or Randy. I'm not sure which came on board first, but thank you all very much. Merry Christmas, as merry as it can be under this past year that we have been under with the COVID. And I guess I should have made this remark previously, but I have to agree with Emily. When we first came online with this stuff, I was disappointed, because I think we get a lot more out of it when we are able to have in-house meetings and actually see the people who are making the comments. And I'm hoping that now with the new vaccine, perhaps the commission and board of supervisors and any of the other commissions will be able to actually be able to hold meetings, because I have to agree with Emery Wybell on that one, that we do get a lot more I think we understand more when we actually have meetings in person with people. So enough said. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Or raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Merry Christmas. Best of luck to everyone for the new year.
Have a good holiday, everybody. Stay safe. See you in 2021.